mentioned in an earlier lesson that the code within a while loop may not execute at all if the loop initially is false. So sometimes we want to execute the code and then test our loop to see if we should continue repeating. And to do that, we can use a structure called a do while, in which the Boolean expressions at the end of the loop structure. And I have here a project for producing 5 numbers between 1 and 45 for a lotto picker. And I click the Generate Picks button, and I get 5 different numbers. And that looks pretty good. There's a problem, though, however, that crops up, and it only took me 2 clicks to get there, in that I have 2 numbers that are identical. So occasionally as I run through this, you're going to see that happen. And I'm using the random number generator to generate the 5 numbers. And there's another instance where I had 17 come up twice. So we got a problem in our code, and let me look at the code. And the code here is pretty simple in this situation. Is I've got a variable which is a numeric value, and I'm using a for loop to basically generate 5 different numbers. And I'm using math.random. I'm multiplying by 45 and adding 1, which is going to give me with math.floor a number between 1 and 45. And then I'm simply setting the text box. The first one is pick1 underscore txt to whatever the string value is of xyz. And then I generate in the next loop pick2 underscore txt value for the text. And that produces my 5 numbers. The problem here is that I get duplicate numbers. So let's look at another way to do this. I'm simply going to comment out this code. And I've got some code here I've already written that I'm just going to explain through. And so here is the better way to do this. I'm still using my XYZ number. I'm going to generate the first number. I'm simply going to use the same statement we saw before, where I'm taking the random method, stirring a number between 0 and 1, multiplying that by 45 and adding 1, and that will give me with math.floor an integer value between 1 and 45, inclusive. And then I set my pick1 underscore txt text box, set the text of that to that number. Then I'm going to generate the second number. So I'm going to use a do while loop to do that. So I'm going to generate the number, set my pick2 text to that, and then while pick1 txt text is equal to pick2 txt text. So if the second number is the same as the first, I'm going to regenerate that number. And I keep regenerating it until the second number is different or unique from the first one. Then I do the same thing for the third one. I generate a numeric value between 1 and 45, put that into pick3 underscore txt.text. And now I'm going to make sure that that one does not equal the first number, which is in pick1, or if it equals the second number, I'm going to regenerate my third number again. And I can do that as long as I need to until the third number is not equal to either one of those first 2 numbers. So we're using an OR statement for that. Then I simply do the same thing for the fourth number. And while the fourth number is equal to the first, or it's equal to the second, or it's equal to the third, I'm going to continue my loop and generate a new number. Same thing for the fifth one. Fifth one, I'm making sure it's not equal to the first, the second, the third, or the fourth. So not a whole lot of code there. Overall, really less than 30 lines once we get rid of these lines that we commented out. And that will guarantee that we always get 5 unique numbers between 1 and 45. There will be no duplicates. We'll use while do while loops when we start working with arrays and doing things like if we wanted to shuffle a deck of cards. We would use a do while to make sure the cards don't come up multiple times. So do whiles are really useful in creating games and simulations. There's a lot of times when we want to do something and then continue doing something based on some condition.